Hello and welcome to another video on this channel where we talk about everything healthy beauty. So I founded the concept of functional beauty, and that is where beauty meets health. So I talk about everything that can affect your skin positively as well as negatively, targeting great skin from the inside out and the outside in without intervention. I founded the beautydoctrine.com, where you can find the best tips, courses, products, everything that's super clean. Nothing on the market matches what's going on the Beauty Doctrine, because I go beyond mainstream, beyond natural, beyond clean, and into functional, which takes into account skincare's compatibility with human skin. Believe it or not, that has not been something that's a priority for most skincare brands and even chemists, because it's been about the formula itself, right? So let's make the perfect formula that's not going to go bad on the shelf, that's gonna sit there for years and years, and that's going to be pleasant, and that's going to smell great. All of that sounds fantastic, but none of that is really compatible with human skin. And so my approach is no fragrance, no toxins, no irritants, none of that, whether natural or synthetic. So there's so much to learn on this channel, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics ever, and that is red light therapy. Why? Because red light has transformed my skin. I'm almost 47. At 43 years old, my skin was just going south. I had a lot of droopiness on the neck, and if you've been following me, you probably saw the video on TikTok that went viral. I think it had millions of views a couple years ago, and that's where I reversed wrinkles and sagging on my neck in 2 months. And one of these strategies, I'm saying one, is red light therapy. I truly believe that it had one of the biggest effects on me, and I was a believer since then. Many of my clients over the years have seen great results. Super excited. If you're new, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button and click on the bell so that you can get notified whenever I post a new video. So what I will be talking about today is really comparing a lot of devices that are on the market, really clarifying my point of view. Obviously, I'll be explaining what red light therapy is, what the benefits are, and side effects. Many people don't really, pay attention to that, but that's a huge focus of mine. If you know the side effects, you'll know how to use any device properly. In all honesty, I think red light therapy or red light therapy devices are my absolute favorite devices out of everything that's available on the market today. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's start by going into some history on how red light was actually used for the first time. It was in fact discovered by NASA, or created by NASA, used in outer space to grow plants, and astronauts, being around it day in and day out, they felt like their joint pain was getting better. And so NASA started looking into that, and that kind of had that cascade effect where it was discovered that red light therapy can have a healing effect. It's anti-inflammatory, it helps heal damage in our cells, it helps energize the mitochondria, which is phenomenal. That's actually where the skincare aspect comes in, one of the aspects. Then it started being used in so many different avenues. So it's being used for hair growth, it's being used for collagen production, and so on and so forth. Like plants, we have photoreceptors in our body. That means we respond to light, just like we do to the sun, to the light outside. If there is a bright day, you're in a good mood, right? Because that sun, that UV is interacting with every cell in our bodies. So UV is not all bad. Before you run out and get yourself a light bulb that is red, not all light is equal. There are specific wavelengths that you need to be looking for, specific non-thermal light, and that's so important when I say non-thermal, because thermal has to do with heat. And so when you turn on your device, it cannot emit any kind of heat on your face, because heat has a lot more to do with aging as well as hyperpigmentation. So that's the first thing to look for. If you own a device right now and it gets heated, get rid of it and get one that's higher quality. So the main function that red light therapy does is energize our mitochondria. The mitochondria are often referred to as the energy powerhouses of the cell. And energy is very important. When we are younger, when we're babies, toddlers, kids, our mitochondria has so much energy. Everything is functioning ideally or optimally, and then that energy starts declining. And so it's super important to infuse that energy back into our mitochondria for our cells to go back to functioning optimal. How does red light do that? Well, our cells are filled with water. And so that water needs to be more fluid. At times, or as we age, it becomes more viscous. And so when you expose your cells to red light therapy, that increases the flow of that water for more movement and more energy. The increase in mitochondrial function affects so many systems in our body. So I'll list a few. I want to make sure I don't forget any. So hair growth, reducing hyperpigmentation, collagen production, wrinkle reduction, better sleep. That's because it helps regulate our circadian rhythm. If you expose your face to red light, that basically replaces the sun. So think of it as the sun without the UV damage. So that tells your brain that it is daytime. Your body starts, making that melatonin very slowly, believe it or not. It starts in the morning and then it keeps increasing as the day goes on, and you have enough melatonin at the time to sleep. So that's how it's going to help regulate that circadian rhythm. It's great for post-workout recovery. It helps with inflammation. That's actually infrared light. So there are two types of light and I'll go into them. So there's red light at a specific wavelength that works on superficial tissue. And then there is infrared. So it's the invisible light at a different wavelength that goes deeper into the tissues as far as the bone. And that will help with inflammation and post-workout recovery. So increased cellular turnover, helping improve skin texture. It enhances fluid inside the cell, which I alluded to earlier. It helps healing after surgery, reduces swelling. It adds glow, kind of if you're looking for that glass skin, which is trending, it's everywhere. So use your red light therapy daily if you want to get there. Improves cognitive performance, and it helps lead to fuller and denser hair. So as red light therapy has become more and more popular, the market now is flooded with devices, and many of them can be very problematic. So I'm going to teach you what to look for when you are shopping for a device, as well as share my favorites and how to use your device properly. As I said earlier, I became a huge fan of red light therapy when I saw my results. So I've managed to accumulate lots of devices over the years. Small devices, big devices, masks, hand device. This is your neck and décolleté. I've never used this. And this does not even begin to cover the devices that I've given away because I feel really bad sitting on all of these devices that I'm not using. There's even one, and I'm actually really excited about this one. One of these is a phone and one is a device. I'm actually working on testing a device that's the size of an iPhone. This is not available on the market just yet, but it's in the testing phase. Actually, see, like, I have an issue with it. It doesn't turn on or off. But anyways, there are all types of devices right now. The first thing that I look at when I'm shopping for a device is the wavelength. So you usually refer to as NM, so that's nanometers, and it needs to be somewhere between 630 and 660. And what that means is just the light can penetrate about 630 nanometers into the skin to energize the mitochondria, to impact those cells positively and generate a result, whether that is hair growth or anti-wrinkle or collagen production and so on and so forth. The second very important thing is FDA clearance. This just means that the device has been tested to be safe for human use, because again, there are many devices right now on Amazon for your device. There are so many devices out there that have not been tested for safety. And when you are bringing energy so close to your face, this close, or you're using a mask that's actually coming into direct contact with your skin, it better be tested for safety. So I'm gonna break up the different devices into 3 categories. So the first category are the flexible masks that you can wear that come into direct contact with the skin. The second category are the panels. So those are the ones you can hold about an inch or 2 away from your face. You can also use them all over the body, for inflammation and so on and so forth. So that's the second category. The third category would be the travel devices. So these, some of them are activated, actually both of these that I'm holding are activated on contact with the skin. Same with this one. So, you know, those are the three different categories that I'll be breaking down, and then I will tell you which one is my favorite and which one I recommend to my clients every day. So let's start with the wearable masks. So I've personally tested 3 different brands. So I have Higher Dose, Omnilex, and Current Body. They're extremely similar in their function, in the number of light. They are extremely similar in pricing, function, and the number of bulbs in them. So the great thing about these masks is that you can wear them around, you can put this on and go vacuuming or clean dishes, so they're hands free. That is the very best utility of such masks. I was really excited about that idea, actually doing or having red light therapy treatment while doing yoga. That's how I used to use them. I would just wear my Higher Dose mask and do yoga. But eventually, as I kept digging and digging and digging deeper, I tended to lean more about devices that I can actually hold in my hand like a panel. The reason being, I found out that panels, first of all, have a lot more power, very often more bulbs. And thirdly, I really like the idea of not having light touching the face. When you're holding a panel at a certain distance from your face, you're still getting full benefit of the light, but without the potential of triggering any type of hyperpigmentation. Let's say there is that thermal factor. I'm not willing to take that risk because I'm very sensitive. I'm also very prone to hyperpigmentation. So I want to eliminate that risk. The other reason that I tend to lean towards panels 100% of the time actually right now is because I could use it on my head if I wanted to. I could have it sitting on my vanity. I can have it sitting on my desk while I'm working. So the possibilities are endless with a panel. Panels tend to be expensive for the most part. So I'm looking at a price list here. So you have Revive panel, which I adored and used for at least a couple of years. It's about $400. That had a blend of red light, amber light, blue light. So that's really handy for somebody that needs the other lights, especially blue. We're talking about red light primarily in this video, so that helps with everything I just mentioned. Blue light tends to work more superficially to treat acne. Blue light helped me quite a bit with my perioral dermatitis when I used to have a lot of flare-ups. Now, it's been a while since I had a flare-up. That's great. If you're someone that have a need for both red light and blue, you'd want to go with Revive. By the way, all of these devices will be linked in the description below the video. And if I have access to any discount codes, they will be included as well. So back to the panel. So Revive was really great because I needed access to red and blue. So, and that would be a great option for you as well if that is your preference. Right now, you know, going with just red for the most part. I use infrared after the gym, and that's why I do the Kanjo. This is actually the first device that I found, and the only so far, that separates red from infrared. So I've turned on the red a few times, but let's press the infrared. It's hardly visible. You see very, very faint light there. And so infrared I like to use for the body. For example, if I have like joint pain, if I had like this morning, I went to my boxing class. I know tomorrow I'll wake up sore. I'm going to be using, you know, the infrared all over my body tonight before I go to bed, and that's going to help reduce that muscle soreness in the morning. That's the difference between the two panels. Revive, you would go with that if you want access to blue light, and the price of that is $3.99. And then Kanjo, if you're just wanting red light and infrared light separately, like I use them, you know, red for the face and the hair, infrared for the body, then you do that, and that is about $130. And so that's the only device so far that I added to my website. And for those of you that don't know about the Beauty Doctrine, I curate the best products possible on there that I use and recommend to my clients. The other difference between the silicone masks and the panels is the length of time, which matters so much to me. And so all of the masks that I've researched and used require a 10 to 20 minute treatment. And that's because they are less powerful than the panels. Panels, you only need 3 to 5 minutes. So Revive, for example, they recommend 3 minutes. Kanjo recommends 5 minutes. And from all of my research, 5 minutes seems to be the very sweet spot for light therapy. And actually, I've gotten this question quite a bit. A lot of clients get really excited about it, especially as they start seeing results. And they go, Nadia, can I use it for 20 minutes? Can I use it for 30 minutes? I do not recommend that. You can really overdo red light therapy, actually starting to induce free radical damage in the skin. So everything can be overdone. Even water, even like vitamins, antioxidants, anything can turn against you when done in excess. And so the sweet spot for red light therapy is about 5 minutes, 5 days a week. I call it the 5-5 rule. Easy and simple. Moving on. The third category that I mentioned is going to be the handheld devices. These are fantastic for travel, but I don't find them effective for every day. Effective is not really the right word. I don't find them user-friendly, let's say, for every day, because, for example, Solar Wave, they recommend using it for 5 minutes every day. And so let's say I'm actually going over like this way for 5 minutes. I'm going all over my face, right? And so that means like I really touch each area. I expose each area of my skin to the light for a few seconds. So let's say, I don't know, 10 seconds here, 10 seconds here, and so on and so forth. That is not enough for me to actually get a full treatment and to see that impact. There is a time and place for them. So this is good because it gives you that vibration, it gives you a little bit of that microcurrent technology and red light therapy. So I found myself using this quite a bit for my brow bone. So I just kind of use it here because I like that stimulation of the muscle to help with the lifting. So I use it as a targeted treatment. I also like to have it in my makeup bag. So if I'm away for the weekend, I don't want to be lugging my panel. And so it's better to have some exposure to red light than none. And of course, for those that use microcurrent, which I started using recently, you don't want to be, I mean, some people do, I don't want to be carrying all of my devices traveling with them. So this kind of fits the bill. It's a temporary replacement to all of the different devices that you're using. So as far as the bigger ones, I tend to really like this one. The brand refers to it as the cleanser. So people will think there's an actual cleanser. And for those that like that manual stimulation while they're cleansing, this is waterproof. You can keep it in the shower. So it's great for the person that struggles finding time to fit red light therapy into their daily routine. You can just keep this in the shower. You turn it on, and as you're cleansing and massaging your face, and I don't believe in any type of brushes for the face, except if it's something that's silicone. This is not going to hurt the skin. It's not going to scratch it, but it's really nice as you're foaming up your cleanser. You can be massaging the face with this. I tend to really like this one the most out of all the portable ones, and I just press it again and it actually vibrates. So vibration can really help stimulate the lymphatic drainage. It helps stimulate skin firmness. Any type of stimulation for the skin, massage, vibration can be really helpful. So this is one of my very favorite things, and as I speak about it now, I need to probably put it back in my shower because it's been sitting in my drawer here for a while now. So, and then you have these devices. These are pretty similar. Really the only difference is just the size and the shape of the device. These are also activated on touch. So again, it's the same feedback. See how if I remove it, it kind of turns off. So I don't find myself using this too much because of that reason. I just don't have the patience. So if you have the patience, if you want something a little bit less expensive, I forget the price of these, but they're probably around $100. I just don't have the patience to sit here and hold it for 3 minutes per area. So 3, and maybe it's something that you can do while you're watching TV. But again, I would rather just hold the panel, get my entire treatment done in 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'm good to go. But these are still great. I still recommend them for people. You see how I turned on the blue, and then there's the purple. So the purple is the blend of blue and red. So there's the purple. I recommend these a lot to my acneic clients. And so I think of this as a smaller version of big panel, the Revive panel. And so if you tend to have acne, I would use the purple if you wanted access to both red and blue at the same time, or the blue only if you're only concerned with acne. And so this is going to be pretty much the same. And so these, I have my kids use them because they tend to get that hormonal breakout here and there. But for me personally, I think the next level really is the panel, and that's what I tend to stick with. Now, should I or should I not use goggles? When I first started using red light, I was really religious about putting on my goggles for protection. And then I got kind of lazy about them. And the more I learned about red light, it's actually pretty beneficial for the eyes. I still don't look at it straight, but I do close my eyes while I'm holding the panel. That way the lid benefits from the red light benefits. However, if you use any type of blue or purple, so purple is the blend of red and blue, you need to ensure that you are protecting your eyes because blue light can be very harmful for the eyes. So how long does it take for red light therapy to work? That just depends on the damage in your skin. So what I mean by that, let's say you're in your 20s, your skin is still looking firm, you have a good amount of collagen. Are you going to see a result? Probably not. It doesn't mean that it's not working, but there is less of a drastic impact on your skin. If you're someone that has already experienced signs of aging, very often you will see a notable difference within, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks. Again, depending on the device and your lifestyle. I see this very often, actually. I've had clients who think that if they purchase red light therapy device, that's going to solve everything. So they're still eating junk food. They're not using their sunscreen. They're not drinking enough water. Maybe they're not using the right skincare. They're like, okay, Nadia, I've been using red light for 6 weeks and I haven't seen a result. And so we have to be reasonable in our expectations. If you are taking care of yourself, using good skincare, hydrating, moisturizing, like doing the basics, you should be able to see some type of improvement. For me personally, when I had that really loose skin on the neck, and you can see the before and after pictures in my blog about red light therapy on the website, you'll see that improvement, within 2 months. I think I started it end of June. Yeah, early September, my neck looked pretty tight and quite a bit of a drastic difference there. Let's talk about things you should avoid when using red light therapy. First of all, if you're using those really powerful prescription retinoids, I would probably avoid red light therapy because retinoids increase your susceptibility to interactions. So your skin is at a weakened state. When you are promoting cellular turnover, basically you're peeling that skin off. You've removed that lipid barrier, that protective layer of the skin. Skin is more vulnerable to burning, to hyperpigmentation and issues, even though by removing a lot of skin cells, you're seeing less of the existing hyperpigmentation. There is a high chance that you are creating new types of hyperpigmentation because of the skin being at that weakened state. Now it is susceptible to burning when in the sun, as well as when you are using energy devices. And so when you're using retinoids, you really are limited on a lot of other devices, helpful treatments and other modalities that can actually help you. The other thing I would say about this is try to not exfoliate right before using red light therapy. For example, I exfoliate about once a week. We're using a lactic acid mask. And so what I generally like to use that mask in the evening. That way there's no chance that I would go out in the sun and have any interaction leading to hyperpigmentation. And then the next morning I skip red light. I should be using it probably now because I've been using it for a few years. I think 3 days a week is plenty. If you're somebody that's new to it, so you can use it maybe 5 days. But for me, if I get 2 or even 2 days, I'm happy about that. So I definitely separate the day that I exfoliate from the days that I use my red light. One question I get very often is what skincare should I use before red light therapy? So because of the potential of interactions, again, most people are not experts in ingredient interaction. It's best to just use red light on a clean face. So generally what I like to do, I wake up in the morning, I use my cream cleanser, pat the skin dry, use my device, put it away, and then follow with my skincare. If you really are adamant about using a skincare product, make sure to use something that does not have any oils. Because remember, in the old days, our mothers and grandmothers, they would put their oils on and go out in the sun to promote their tanning. So there's always that interaction between oil and energy. So we don't want to create that interaction on the skin. So if you absolutely want to have a skincare product on before your red light therapy treatment, read your ingredients and make sure that it doesn't have any oils. So the ideal type of serum would be a hyaluronic acid serum. So one that's really basic, it's really just water, hyaluronic acid, and a preservative. Now, let's talk about who should avoid red light therapy. First is women that are pregnant or breastfeeding, children under 12 years old, and then people that are on certain medications or have certain health conditions. I put together a list that I will link up below that you can reference to make sure that you are a candidate for light therapy or not. Make sure to check that out if you have any health condition and are considering the use of red light therapy. I'd also be careful if you are one that believes in daily exfoliation or if you use brightening products, because a lot of times you wouldn't even know that they're exfoliating, but just because they're brightening, brands can sneak in a lot of ingredients that help promote exfoliation. Even if you have an exfoliating cleanser, anything that's brightening, really pay attention to that and make sure that you're not using that prior to your red light therapy treatment. You should maybe, I don't think we should be exfoliating every day anyways, but if you want to like your exfoliation, have a cleanser that's designated to the days that you are using red light. And that should be just a gentle cream cleanser without alpha hydroxys or beta hydroxys in it. Let me know if I've answered all your questions. I tried to cover all the questions that I typically get in my comments and from my clients in this video. I'm happy to do more follow-ups. Also share your experience with all of us. So if you have used a specific device, have seen improvement, or have had side effects or negative outcomes, please let us know. It's always really nice to hear from everybody and learn from each other as we go on this journey of pursuing a healthy skin from the inside out and the outside in without intervention. And that is it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Be well, be safe, be beautiful. Till next time.